It's 9 o'clock. Good morning, everyone. We do have a quorum, and I'll call the August 27th, 2019 meeting, Board of Supervisors meeting to order. We have Father Bernie Ramirez from St. Mary's Mother of God Catholic Church here to do our invocation. And would everyone please stand and remain standing for the pledge? Father Ramirez.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, in your infinite goodness, you have made us steward of your abundant gifts. We thank you for the many blessings you have given us. May it help us continue pouring out these gifts in service to one another in faith, hope, love. Coming together, we ask your guidance, wisdom, and support. Bless each one of us here, and grant that we may have the clarity of mind, compassion, due diligence, and integrity as we engage in meaningful discussion. Guide our hearts and minds with the spirit of fairness, right thought, and speech. Whatever we do and all that we accomplish, may it be for the greater glory of you and for the service of humanity. We ask this through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we'll move into our agenda, citizens' time. Ms. Myers?
My interest, of course, again, is the feedlot. I had just shown this to Mr. Bear. This is the VDAC. It's a small animal feeding operation. It's an on-site assessment form. And we've been asking for paperwork for a very, very long time, and this form should be filled out and filed, and there's no reason why you, as a government agency, are not entitled to get the form, know about the form, and so on. Who's covering up, or what's being covered up with the agency, or so on and so forth? Have they assessed the creeks? Where are the water quality forms? There's just a million questions. This has been going on. It's going on to 7 years now, and nobody does anything. And it's really unfortunate. We're affecting the quality of life out there, the water, and everything in the neighborhood. So I'd please continue to bug these people about this. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I will take a copy of that form and I will send it to them and ask about it. Following the last meeting, we did get in touch with them. We did get a response back that staff was at the site on August 6th with nothing of concern to note, no official report or anything else to pass along. So I will ask them about that report if they're filling it out, if they could send it to us.
Okay.
I've also spoken with Joseph Molosky, and I've given Ms. Myers his card as well, so that she can be in touch with him, but we'll see what reports we can get.
Okay. That's the only person we had signed up. If anybody else would like to speak toward at citizens' time, this is your opportunity. Here none, we'll close citizens' time. Next item is payment of invoices. Entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any invoice any board member would like to pull out or discuss? Here none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 And the chair votes aye. Motion passes with 6 with 1 absent. Next item is minutes of our previous meeting, August the 13th, 2019. Entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any correction or changes need to be made to the minutes? Here none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next item is old business. Mr. Byers, anything under old business we need to discuss?
I do not have any items, sir.
Okay, moving into reports. I don't see Miss Gwen. I don't see the Fay. Ms. Barker?
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I will mention, they are in, with, Tyler Munis today. They worked with them, last week on going through, the books and everything for, getting all the tax tickets ready. Ms. Gwen did send me a message this morning that she would be back meeting with them today, working on that, so that's why neither one of them are here this morning.
Okay. And Mr. Dungan, Sheriff's not here. Water Committee report.
Got one somewhere if I can find it. On August the 20th, 2019, the Water Committee met and makes the following recommendations. To accept the quote from Carter Machinery for a replacement generator at the Chapman Road wastewater lift station for a cost of $23,335.
Okay, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next item.
Second is to approve change order number 1 for the Max Meadows Bridge project.
Then come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Mr. Barry, you want to go over the change order?
Yeah, this was, primarily dealing with, as y'all remember, they talked about when we bid the project out, it was understood we were going to try to work with the existing hangars, and if we had to repair the hangars in the process, we would do so. This is an increase in this change order of $13,550 for the work performed to replace the hangars as necessary on the bridge for the water line.
Okay, does that raise any questions or comments?
Still cheaper than burying it, correct?
Yes, sir.
That's what I thought.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next is the Budget Committee report.
The Budget Committee met on August 21st, 2019, and recommends the following. First item is to enter into negotiations with Wampler Eames for the 2020 reassessment.
Okay, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Ms. Barry, you want to comment on anything?
Yeah, with Ms. Barker not being here, I'll comment. The Mount Rogers Planning District Commission placed out advertisements for reassessment services. Following that, various members from county administration and Commissioner of Revenues met at Mount Rogers to interview the firms. Following those interviews, Ms. Barker and I have met with Wampler Eames, and recommendation from her and then a recommendation from committee is to enter into a contract that'll be brought back to you all for approval for Wampler Eames to do our reassessment. The reassessment would start, excuse me, next year, in July or so, and it would be effective the following year at the end of 2021.
Does that bring up any questions or comments? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Bob?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next item.
Set 3 highway safety grant agreements as follows. Selective enforcement speed for $35,000, selective enforcement occupant protection for $14,000, and selective enforcement for alcohol for $16,700.
Okay, again, coming from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye. I'll abstain.
And the chair votes aye.
Next item is to approve a transfer of $6,000 from the Commonwealth Attorney's State Asset Forfeiture Fund to part-time funds and to amend and appropriate the same to account 2201-412100.
Again, coming from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any questions? Hear none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Next item.
To request the county attorney draft an ordinance declaring the Millwall Theater Incorporated property located at 203-207 West Main Street, Withville, Virginia, as tax exempt property. Adoption of the ordinance will require a public hearing.
Okay, again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Vaught?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Next item.
To proceed with VACO VML financing to secure funding for capital projects.
Again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Any questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horning?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Okay, county administrator?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item is just for information. We have received confirmation, one of our local industries that received a Commonwealth Development Opportunity Fund grant has and chose to, through the process that they were not going to meet the requirements, chose to go ahead and repay those funds. All of those funds have been repaid. Therefore, we are off the hook with the Commonwealth, and they are off the hook with us, and that account is settled out, and just sharing that for your all's information. So, no action needed by the board. Appreciate JIDA's help with this, and I appreciate the company's help with this. That sounds better.
Now we're working. It was everybody's. I just thought they had mine turned down, so. Okay, Mr. Byron, you want to continue?
Sorry about that.
Next item of business is Town of Withville Fire and EMS Committee. That's just informational purposes to let you all know that Mr. Reeves and Ms. Lawson did meet with representatives of the town. The town has expressed interest in expanding their fire service to provide fire and rescue services in the area. This group will be having meetings again tomorrow and then ongoing as we continue moving forward with the discussions. Just wanted to make certain that everyone was aware. No questions on it. The next thing is just a proposed amendment. We talked about this during the budget season this past year. Currently, the Appalachian Regional Exposition Center ordinance established the county administrator as serving as the secretary treasurer. As we discussed during the budget time, the authority now has staff on board. This still leaves myself as county administrator as ex officio and the chairman of the board as ex officio. It just removes the requirement for the county administrator to serve as secretary treasurer. So I have reviewed with Mr. Farthing, and if advertisement of time permits, I would recommend approval of setting a public hearing for the September 10th board meeting, or as soon a meeting as possible for the adoption of that amendment.
Okay, have a motion to set the public hearing for, what date did you say?
September 10th.
September 10th.
I'll make that motion. All right, I'll second it then.
Have a motion to second. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is set.
Next item is a vacation of right-of-way request. Mr. Hale has inquired about this a couple times. Miss Dew came in 2 weeks ago, I guess, and has made a request, working with the planning commission, to vacate alleyways. These are unused alleyways and roads on the western side of Max Meadows, down in the area of the Mayapple Lane, where we did a previous vacation of right-of-way, down in there. I would recommend that the Board of Supervisors proceed with holding a public hearing for the vacation of right-of-way and have the county attorney draft up an ordinance for such.
Have we got time on October the 10th,
I would set it for September 10th.
September 10th?
At the earliest, yes.
Okay. Entertain a motion to set the public hearing for September the 10th.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Public hearing is set.
And the last item, Mr. Chairman, is a copy of the letter that came in from Judge Showalter. As y'all know, he's appreciative of the redesign of the courthouse, the circuit courtroom, and what was done there. And during that project, he offered to donate state and county seals, which are hung behind the judge's bench. They're very attractive, and I appreciate the donation, and we wanted to know if the board would like to take official action to recommend a letter of appreciation be sent to the judge for this donation.
Yes.
I think we should.
And it sets off the bench. I mean, it really looks good down there. If you haven't been down to see them, I recommend you go down and see it.
We will do so, and then if you'd like to do something and do a presentation down there and see if we can get a picture taken and have that put out there. Public information officer. Mr. Chairman, that's all the items that I have on my report at this time.
Okay, county attorney's report.
Mr. Chairman, I just had a clarifying question, I guess, for the board. We talked about transferring the real estate known as the Spiller Annex building to the Historical Society. The committee, I guess, made the recommendation that we limit that building's use to historical, museum, and educational purposes. My recommendation would be to put that limit on there, and if it's used for something other than that, then that land reverts back to Wythe County. Is that what we want?
I think that's what the consensus of the board was.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm that. The other question I had was they had a recommendation about if the land was going to be transferred, that the original grantor, which would be Wythe County, would need to accept that transfer to whoever was getting that and any subsequent transfers. I'm not sure we can do that. I think the restriction protects you in the sense that if it stops being used as historical, museum, or educational purposes, then it automatically reverts back to Wythe County. So at any time it stops, if those restrictions are violated, then that land will revert back to Wythe County in whatever form it's in. So if they remodel it and then change the use, then it comes back to us.
Okay.
So I don't think we can put that qualifying that if they transfer it, we have to give permission every time it gets transferred and changes hands.
Okay.
I'll make a draft and send it to Mr. Bear. So,
Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
all right, that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Board Supervisor report. Blacklick District, Mr. Vaught.
Nothing at this time.
District 2, West Whiffle.
Nothing at this time.
District 3, East Whiffle.
The only thing that I had was the resolution for the Open Door Cafe, Stephen.
Yes.
Did we do anything with that last night?
I didn't hear any comments back from anyone,
Okay.
so I did not include it on the agenda. If you all would like it, we could go pull a copy of that up and hand that out to you all for consideration. But that is, this week is the, I don't remember what it was called, but everyone deserves to
National
eat week.
Everybody Eats Week.
Yeah,
Can we do that and take it up at the end of the meeting?
yes, sir.
I know the town has theirs posted there. So I thought it would be nice for the county to do the same. And it is this week, we're already 2 days into it, so maybe we can get it done. And that's all I have.
Okay, Fort Chiswell District, Mr. Hale.
Nothing at this time.
Lead Mines District, Mr.
Yeah, I
McCrawford.
do have something. I would like to express my thanks to VDOT for the paving of Painter Hill Road. Thank the Lord.
I haven't been
How many
over there,
hours
but
down
I've,
now?
I haven't been over there, but I've got calls saying it looks great.
You know,
So,
if I have to go to that avenue, I go down that road because it's running, it's so much different now.
okay, Speedwell District, Mr. Horny.
Nothing at this time.
Okay, the only thing I have is I've had a request that, trash be picked up out on 52 near the, center. West 52 towards Stony Gap. Stony Fork, I mean. Okay, new business. Entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments on the consent calendar? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. Okay, next is Apex Utility Barn bids. Mr. Barry, you want to go over
Yes,
that?
Mr. Chairman, I handed a copy out to everyone. I emailed you all a copy last night. Bids were received yesterday. The low bidder is Colt W. Simmons Construction Company LLC. And the committee has recommended that staff meet with them to review their bid and to negotiate with them since we have exceeded the initial allocated budget to go with it. And then come back at the September 10th meeting of the Board of Supervisors for recommendation.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing none, resolution 2019-22. And I'll read the resolution recognizing the Presbyterian Children's Home of the Highlands for 100 years of service. Whereas the Presbyterian Children's Home of the Highlands has been providing care to children in the area for 100 years, and whereas the Children's Home provides care for children and youth ages 5 to 21, and whereas 828 residents have lived at the Children's Home since 2000, likewise thousands of children have lived within the halls of the Children's Home since it started, and whereas the Children's Home provides room and board for children during a personal or family crisis and provides care to youths in Virginia. The majority of the children visiting the Children's Home come from the 19 counties west of Roanoke. And whereas the Presbyterian Children's Home of the Highlands provides programs and services to help children, youth, and families. Therefore, be it resolved that the Wythe County Board of Supervisors wishes to recognize the Presbyterian Children's Home of the Highlands for 100 years of service to the area, adopted this 27th day of August 2019. Entertain a motion to adopt.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? So adopted. And they will be having their celebration on September the 21st. And I will be presenting the resolution at that time.
And if anybody's with any organization or anything else, Mr. Rice is making presentations going on with the history of the organization. So if you're in a group or something that would like to have him come and give some information about it, he certainly can. If y'all would like for him to come here, he can certainly come and give information here.
Okay, before we go into closed session, is anything else to bring before the board at this time? Okay, entertain a motion to go into closed section under 2.2-30.
Are we supposed to do anything with the stairs?
The
Oh,
what?
yes.
Oh. Thank you, Mr. Lester. Mr. Bear, you want to go over the Apex Construction Committee recommendation?
Appalachian Regional Exposition Center Construction Committee met on August 26, 2019, and recommended accepting HDH design for stairs and to advertise bids to supply and install stairs and a concrete sidewalk on the west arena floor. Use of the donated stairs currently on the property to be retrofitted for the arena will be offered as an alternative bid.
Okay, again, come from committee, it doesn't need a second. Mr. Bear, you want to explain this a little further?
Yeah, the arena originally had the original design that was changed was a ramp on the western end of the arena. There's now stairs on the eastern side only. During a few of the first events, it became quite apparent that needed steps on the western side as well. So the recommendation here is to put these stairs in. There was some material that was received on site that those stairs could possibly be cut and retrofitted at possibly a lower cost than pouring some concrete steps in there. So that is why there is a design option and an alternate to put those stairs in. But I'm sure Ms. Smith is here and she would concur that the steps would be beneficial and also would be a safety matter as well, because there was quite a few people crossing the rail up and forth during the first couple of events on that end.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
No.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes. Okay, now is there anything else before we go into closed session? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session under Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711A5, discussion of prospective business or industry.
Chairman, I make that motion.
Have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are now in closed session. Entertain a motion to come out of closed session.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're out of closed session. Mr. Lester, you want to read the certification?
Whereas the Wake County Board of Supervisors has convened a closed meeting on this date pursuant to an affirmative recorded vote and in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and whereas Section 2.2-3712 of the Code of Virginia requires a certification by the Wake County Board of Supervisors that such a meeting was conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the Wake County Board of Supervisors hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification resolution applies, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the Wake County Board of Supervisors.
I have a second on certification of the resolution.
So moved.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Ball?
Aye.
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 The chair votes aye. You have in front of you, resolution 2019-23 supporting the Open Door Cafe. Take a minute to look over it. I entertain a motion to adopt.
I'll make that motion.
Have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any questions? Hear none.
Hang on, the last sentence, are you fine with that, or you want to revise?
I just asked if we could remove the hashtag. I don't think it's very professional for a resolution.
Very last little thing right there.
I don't care either way, it doesn't matter to me.
didn't want to take it out, that's fine. But that,
And this was their draft resolution they sent to us. The only thing I changed is, I did take out where it said to join the Board of Supervisors for lunch, because I didn't think all of you all were going over there and having lunch, so I just put to have lunch at the Open Door Cafe. If my schedule goes right, I had planned on going there at 12 today anyway myself, so if you'd like to take a copy of this resolution with us when we go and give it to Mr. Cate.
okay. Any other changes or corrections?
The motion, or with the motion and second to make the changes, that,
Yeah. Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Horny?
Aye.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. Okay, you have your informational pack. Mr. Byers, anything else to come before the board at this time?
No, sir. Next meeting, September 10th, will be followed by a joint meeting with the school board on September 12th at 4 o'clock. Just reminding everyone of that. Primary discussion topics at that meeting will obviously be talking a little bit about, current year where we stand, but also talking about the capital improvements plans going forward into the next few years. And we will dismiss at 5 o'clock, and we will go take a tour of the George Wythe High School renovation while they are doing their meeting at that time.
And, the meeting Thursday is about what?
The
Wednesday?
chair and vice chair, we're planning just to meet with the chair and vice chair of the school board just to talk a little bit about the upcoming meeting agenda. Another item is workforce development that we'll also be talking about, our middle school programs.
When did you say we was meeting with the school board?
September 12th, 4 p.m.
And that is a Region 12 and Region 13 VACO meeting, but that starts at 2. I don't know if anybody else is going, but, I will be back at about 4. Does any board member have anything to bring before the board? Hearing none, we are adjourned.